So we start at start now.
Oh yeah.
Walk me through this.
Well, hey, I'll go back to start now really quick just to show one more thing. So for anyone who started in the start now area and you've covered coding and APIs, you've covered networking 101, depending on kind of the doorway that you came in through. Then after that, we actually have start now curriculum for every one of our major technology groups. So you can find start now for enterprise networking. And for everybody that is listening to this, if you've never made a DNA Center API call, you've never had like a Hello Network connection there, this is a learning lab that can actually help you do that. We have enterprise networking. We cover DC networking. We were just talking about Ansible a moment ago. So we have, again, a basics understanding for DC networking and a taking it further area for DC networking. All of this being developed by our internal teams who helped, our own SMEs who actually helped build this curriculum. Awesome. We do the same for like Meraki or Webex, even contact center. So if you're a telephony person and you're coming back, if you're coming, you've only ever worked with contact center, and you are now interested in finding ways to use the finesse APIs to build upon, we even have learning labs for that. So if this start now section is a great area if you've never coded or you've never worked with networking technologies. But once you're done doing that, you can then find how to start with any of our technology groups.
Just to reemphasize, all your labs and access to labs can be scheduled through DevNet, correct? Or
oh yeah.
Yep, the DevNet. So there's no excuse really to you have a free time just to jump on. You don't have to worry about downloading and installing on your laptop. You can go ahead and sign up for a slot and get to work on one of these labs. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Some of these labs, they have a sandbox component. Some of them don't. Some of them are just an interactive lab where maybe you're writing some lines of code. You're using your local dev. Environment on your computer. Some of them involve our sandboxes, and our sandboxes are split between always on and those that are reserved. So really, it's very easy to get started. All you have to do is just click the link and it opens up the document and you can just kind of take it from there. What's also nice about this section is you can kind of see the rings of completion as you take, and I've actually taken a couple of these, so I've reset the rings kind of a few times. As you take and complete labs, it actually shows you your progression as you go. And even here is, in DC networking. Here is a challenge lab. Use the ACI toolkit to collect and report critical faults. This is something that I've done and taken, and it marked it as complete. So not only is it a really great, not only can you come in and just kind of launch these labs, if you have to leave and come back, it remembers where you left off, and it remembers what you completed. So that way you're going to be like, oh gosh, what did I start? What did I finish? We keep a record of that.
That's great.
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah, no worries. So hey, I'm going to leave the start now section, and one of the things that I like to point out is all of these buttons on this page are really great because you get almost a full journey working your way left to right. So these first three buttons right here, start now, learning tracks, and video courses, this is great for getting that training going. So after you're done with the start now and you've taken the basics and then you've done some taking it further, you can then go into the learning tracks, and we actually have pre-built modules that are built around specific skills or specific technologies that you want to build. So if you really wanted to dig deep into Cisco IoT, for example, you can actually go here and find in-depth labs advanced level training on a lot of specific information, CI/CD pipelines, FND, even GMM. So again, you can see as well, we track your progress. So if you've started a lab, we note that you've started it. If you've completed it, we note that you've completed it. But this is a great complement to what you find in the Get Started area, because Get Started is kind of getting the basics done, taking it a little bit further, and then if you want to take that big next step, you can do that here. This is the full library of every learning lab that we have. And you can find the module tracks that we've organized. You could search by the specific module. You can even see which ones you have in progress. So like you can see work that I've done. Like I've done work on WebEx devices and WebEx Teams. You can see things that I've got in progress. Or if you just want to find a specific lab, you can do that here too. A brief introduction to Git. Every single one of our labs. It's kind of like checking out a library. Like, what is it that you want to learn today? And it's all right here.
I see that, Ryan, you have it in multiple languages as well. Can you elaborate on that? Do you have it I see in Japanese as well? You have it translated. Do you support as well multiple learning labs with other languages than English?
We do have labs in Japanese. We're always trying to expand that language offering, very similarly to how Learning at Cisco has tried to localize their content, like for around network engineering. So as I'm sure everyone on this call is aware, there's a number of tracks that are within our existing certification plan that we work really hard to localize to wherever we can, whenever we can. DevNet tries to do the same thing. I know that we have a lot of content that we've supplied as well in Japanese. We're trying to add more languages. And honestly, we would love to continue to work with our community, SMEs, and other professionals that want to come in and supply that type of support. Well, hey, to bring it back to a little bit more of the journey, one of the other nice things that we have here is a set of video courses. These are actually done from by Hank Preston, who's on the DevNet team. This is a really cool set of videos, especially if you're coming from a networking background. Derek started the call and talked about, hey, like, what if you were like, you know, a multi-year CCIE? This is actually a really great set of videos just built around understanding network programmability. So if you've only ever, you know, worked at a physical layer or you know, never touched network programmability or are really interested in getting into this world, this section of our website is a great option. And Hank does a really good job at talking about this from the perspective of kind of like, I think he talks about it like the caveman, you know, like it's the caveman meeting this brand new world, and the benefits that are tied to things within network programmability and in automation, and how jobs are changing and are becoming aligned to that. So I can't promote this video series well enough. If you are just on the edge or the bubble of wanting to get into the development space, but you're still thinking, hey, I need to know what's the big deal about network programmability, this video series is great. Or if you need to introduce this concept to someone, if you're working with a team of people who are like, you know, everybody's talking about this, network programmability is just a buzzword to me. I wish someone could supply me with some real depth. This video series has that depth.
And I want to take a moment here to give a shout out to Hank. You know, the guy never sleeps, and he does nothing but spit information. So kudos to Hank.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Hank Preston, I'm assuming he has finally built a machine that adds hours to the day, because that guy is like one of the busiest people at DevNet. So 100%. And again, this video series is great. And because of Hank's background in particular, because of his history with hardware, and now what he does from a software world in the software world, I feel like it makes things that often just sound like buzzwords. I mean, I feel like often we're in meetings where people will say like, oh, the magic of automation, or oh, you know, we can drive greater efficiencies with network programmability. Hank makes that real. I feel like if you really want a genuine sense of why this is important, this is a really great video series. So it complements that learning journey that you might be on at DevNet. If you're just starting, if you're looking for that kind of like introductory training, but if you want to put that training in context around why this is important, this is a good spot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, actually. Couldn't agree more. Shout out to Hank.
So, hey, I think we can continue our journey. We've talked about these first 3 areas that you can find a lot of the training resources, whether you're just starting, whether you're looking for more advanced or specific training, or you're looking for those videos from Hank that talk about network programmability and automation and why those things are important and putting them in like a real world context. These last 3 bullets, though, are really great to take the skills that you learned here and put them into practice. So often when you're engaging with a lab, Start Now section or our learning tracks, you are probably engaging with our sandbox. But you can also go directly to our sandbox. This is a great area to not just put skills into practice, but you can also test and develop in these sandboxes. These are free to use sandboxes from DevNet that leverage virtualized or real hardware technologies. And they're very easy to launch as well. So if you go to, like, for example, you want to see our networking sandboxes. And here, let me just reset. You can go into, you can find our sandboxes on DNA Center, on multi-iOS, everything, iOS XR programmability. We tell you what you can do in these sandboxes. So again, if you're in a learning lab and you want to follow along with an activity, you might be calling one of these sandboxes, like this DNAC sandbox. The sandboxes, again, are a really great place to test your code, test applications, even determine configurations that you might be interested in testing. We have 2 sets of sandboxes. We have always on sandboxes, which means anytime you need it, you can just click, open it, and it'll call, like what I just did with this DNA Center sandbox. When I click it, it opens it. I have opened up this sandbox. It's ready to use. You can see the configuration. You can see the configuration here. You can see the technology that I'm engaging with. This is not a reserved sandbox. We have other sandboxes, though, that are reserved. It'll be listed as such, like right here. You can see that it says reservation sandbox, and that just means that it's a sandbox that has a limited amount of capacity. So if it's available, it'll open and launch right when you start, and we can even see right now if it's available. So I clicked it to see if it's open.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's actually I will have to reserve this. I can click reserve. And it'll tell me that, oh, I can have access to this for 6 hours. This is when it's going to run from this time to this time. I can click reserve to schedule my time in the sandbox. So again, like if some of our technology, it's always on, you'll be able to access it all the time. If a sandbox is reserved and it's available, like this one right here, I'm able to just start it right up. Be able to engage with the sandbox just as I want to. It shows everything that I'm doing as far as setting things up, getting things going. But again, kind of going back to that main DevNet website, here I've done all my training, and now I'm putting my skills into practice, and I'm using the sandbox to do that. I'll pause really quick here and see if there's any questions, because I know I was just talking a lot about sandboxes.
Well, you want to go back into the sandbox page again?
Oh, yeah.
I find this fascinating. So what you're telling me is, if I could take 6 hours out of my day, I could fully understand how to do development with SD-WAN, which really leaves that this is pretty much effortless to get on and to increase your skill set, especially in DevNet. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, again, DevNet, we try to be an enabler. Like, we really want to support people in their development journeys. I think often when you're having to do any type of development, or even when you're working on hardware, some of the first thought is, oh, I might have to build a lab, or I might have to build some of that technology at home. I might have to, invest a lot of my own money to kind of make something like that happen. DevNet wanted to just give the option too of, if you just want to use these technologies that we can spin up for you, and you can put that, eliminate all of the extra work that you might have and maybe trying to build a lab at home. Now you can just use one of our labs. And again, this is it's our infrastructure. It's our real working technologies. And you can see that in technologies like DNAC. You can see it in hyper-specific technologies. We have kinetic sandboxes available on IoT that are just focused on IOX. So you can really get in the weeds with a lot of the technologies that we have.
I like that. Okay.